This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Oh, this little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Oh, greetings, my little love bugs. Guess who it is? You guessed it, your Auntie Liz. And I'm so excited. You guys probably thought, oh my God, where's Auntie Liz? Where has she been? We saw her in February. We don't get to see her often. I know, right? They don't want to share me with you guys, and that's so hard. Well, anyway, I'm welcoming you guys again to another Omni Ministry Children's Moment. And the children go wild because it's Auntie Liz and it's the Omni Ministry Children's Moment. Hello, it doesn't get any better than that, right? Well, this month our focus is worship. Now, you guys may not be, into the whole worship thing. Like you make, Auntie Liz, what is worship? What are we doing? What do you mean? Well, I brought some guests with me this month that are going to give you guys a good child-friendly kind of way to understand worship. We're going to talk about the resurrection. We're going to talk about the preparation of the resurrection, all kinds of things. But it's so much that Auntie Liz could not do it all by herself. So I have some phenomenal guests with me to help you guys understand worship, resurrection, the whole thing. And so from beginning to end. So without further ado, my first guest is Sister Marsha. Clap for her children or just go wild. And the children go wild. Sister Marsha, welcome to the Omni Ministry Children's Moment.
What a blessing to be here. I've been watching you, Auntie Liz, and I've been watching the Omni Ministry since it first started. I am so glad to be here today. I've been waiting for this moment. Today we're going, yes, I have, because and such a special time. There's so many wonderful stories
welcome aboard.
About Jesus, and this is one of the best.
Okay, so tell the children, if you will, what you will be reading for them today.
Today we're going to be reading from the Beginner's Bible because they have a number of stories in here as told by Karen Henley and illustrated by Dennis Davis. What has happened is that within the story, we're going to learn how they prepared the activities that they did to prepare Jesus for the resurrection, for Easter Sunday. Mm-hmm. And I'd like to know from our Omni peoples, what do you do to get ready for Easter? What does your family do? Do you buy new clothes? Do you get certain foods? Do you make Easter baskets? What is it that you do? Well, in the story today, they're going to talk about some of the ways that they worshiped with gifts, with prayer, praises, foot washing. They're going to talk about all of that in this story today. And then also they're going to talk about some of the people who were not Jesus's friends. Auntie Liz, there were some people who were there to hurt Jesus.
You better know it. That's how they do. That's how they do, Sister Marsha. They'll do it. People are terrible. Well, listen, I can tell you how I got prepared for Easter when you're done because, there was nothing like a good shawl, Sister Marsha. I had a good shawl every time and my shoes sparkling white. It wasn't a game. I was serious. But I'm going to let you do what you came to do for the children. So children, sit down, get ready, get your minds right. Focus on Sister Marsha's story about the preparation for the resurrection. Correct, Sister Marsha?
That's right.
And everything they had to do. Yeah, so I welcome Sister Marsha, you guys.
Thank you, Auntie Liz.
You're welcome.
Mary's gift. Mary and Martha were two of Jesus's good friends. Earlier in the Bible storybook, we learned how Jesus had come and helped Mary and Martha's brother, Lazarus. In fact, he had died, and Jesus raised him from the dead. Well, Mary and Martha were getting ready for big dinner party at their house. It was a dinner for Jesus. They invited all of Jesus' good friends. That night, many people sat down together at Mary and Martha's table. Mary was busy as always. She carried the food to the table, but where was Mary? Martha was doing all of the work. But Mary did a surprising thing. She took some perfume that cost a lot of money. She poured it on Jesus' feet. Then she wiped his feet with her hair. Mm-mm. It made the whole house smell sweet. One of Jesus' friends, named Judas, was not happy. He asked, "Why didn't Mary sell this perfume? Then she could have given us the money, and we could give it to the poor people." But Judas only said this because he really wanted the money himself. He was the keeper of the money bag, and he took money out of the bag when no one was looking and spent that money on himself. Jesus said, "Leave Mary alone. She gave this perfume to me as a gift because I will not always be able to be here with you." The next section is Make Way for the King. So in the first section, we looked at what Mary did in preparation for what was coming next for Jesus. And we looked at how she worshiped Jesus. In this section, we're going to look at how the people made way for the king. Who's the king? We'll see. Two of Jesus' friends went to look for a donkey. Jesus had told them just where to find it. It would be tied right by the village gate. It was going to be a special donkey. Jesus was going to ride on it. Oh, Jesus was the king. When the friends found the donkey, they took it to Jesus. But first, as you can see, their coats are on the donkey's back. And then Jesus got on. Well, when the people saw Jesus coming, they began to shout with joy, "Hosanna! Hosanna! Blessed is the King who comes in the name of the Lord." So they're praising Jesus as he's riding in on the donkey. And his friends had obeyed Jesus and got the donkey from the gate. All of this is in preparation for what comes next. This is their way of recognizing Jesus, worshiping and praising. Some people even cut branches off of the palm trees. Oh, when we're talking about Palm Sunday, and we get the palms. And you see they laid the branches on the road, and they even spread their coats on the road to make it more comfortable for the King Jesus. They all praised God in loud voices for the wonderful things that Jesus had done. As Jesus rode to the big city of Jerusalem, look at the crowds that were following him. Oh, Hosanna, Hosanna. They were raising their arms. They were so excited. Here comes the king. Well, of course, that made the leaders of all of the people very angry. They said, "See how these people are following Jesus now? They're not following us anymore. We must get rid of Jesus." The leaders were quite upset. The next section is on washing feet. So now we've talked about how to prepare, how Jesus prepared, how God put others in place to help him prepare. We talked about worshiping. We've talked about obeying, what had to happen next. And we talked about praising. Now we're going to talk about another step in the preparation called washing feet. Remember, Mary had washed Jesus' feet with perfume. Let's see what happens here. Washing feet. Jesus knew that not everyone liked him. He knew that the leaders were angry with him. In fact, they were so angry and so jealous that they wanted to kill him. And Jesus knew that too. They were conspiring against Jesus. What that means is they were trying to figure out how to get rid of him. But Jesus still had his special friends. Do you remember how many disciples there were with Jesus? I'll name them while you count. Peter, Andrew, James, John, Philip, Bartholomew, Simon, Matthew, James, the other James, Thomas, Thaddeus, and Judas. Did you count 12? Jesus had 12 disciples. They had been his friends for a long time. They have been traveling with Jesus for a long time, and Jesus taught them many things. One night, they all got together for dinner. While they were eating, Jesus got up. He put a towel on like an apron. He poured water into a large bowl. Then he began to wash his friends' feet. I did that. I am showing you, my disciples, my friends, how to be kind to each other. I am your Lord. I am your teacher. And if I can be kind and help you, then you can be kind and help each other. So, doing things for people, serving them in special ways, gifting them, obeying what Jesus' word says to do. These are the ways to worship. This is what we need to do to follow Jesus. Now, the Last Supper. Judas, remember Judas, see his picture? He was one of Jesus' friends, but he had a bad idea. He knew that the leaders were angry with Jesus. He knew that they wanted to catch Jesus. Now, you remember, Jesus is the one who wanted money more than anything else. So he told the leaders that he would show them where Jesus was if they would pay him some money. And guess what? They did. They paid him 30 pieces of silver. Oh, he looks happy now. Well, one night, as Jesus and his friends were eating supper together, Jesus said, "One of you is planning to do something bad to me." How do you think Jesus knew that? Think about it. Well, John, one of his other disciples, said, "Who is it? Who is it?" Jesus didn't answer. He simply said, "It's the one that I give bread to." Then he gave a piece of bread to Judas. "Go on," Jesus told Judas. "Do what you are planning to do." At that point, Judas got up and left. Only Judas and Jesus knew what Judas's bad idea was. After Judas left, Jesus gave thanks and broke some bread. He shared it with his friends. Next, he took a cup of wine and gave thanks. He shared that with his friends also. "Whenever you eat the bread and drink the wine, remember me," he said. That must be a part of worship also. Remembering Jesus, saying your prayers. Jesus explained to his friends that Jesus said to his friends that "I will not be with you much longer. I have to leave. But do not worry. Do not be afraid. I will come back. You are my friends. Love each other as I have loved you." In the last section of the preparation, is dealing with sadness. When the night came, Jesus took his friends to the garden. There Jesus prayed, and that's where Judas came and carried out his bad idea. He led the soldiers to the garden. He showed them where Jesus was. Jesus knew he would, and it was all right. Jesus went with them. You see, it was time for Jesus to die. God had planned it all along. A long time ago, this had already been a plan. And Jesus knew that it would happen when he came to earth. He came to take the punishment for all the wrong things anybody had ever done or ever would do. And now it was time for him to do that. The soldiers took Jesus to the leaders. Well, the leaders, who of course were already angry and jealous, they did not believe that Jesus was God's son. They made it clear he must die because he calls himself the Son of God and he is not. And so they killed him on the cross. It was a sad day for Jesus' friends. But they did not know that God had planned a wonderful surprise for them and that they would not be sad for long. So as we're preparing for the Easter, which is also called the Resurrection Sunday, in our next story, we'll learn about the surprise.
Kids, and you know, Auntie Liz never gets really sad, but this was kind of tragic, don't you guys think? It really was sad. I was just thinking, well, what is happening here? You know, that's really kind of bad. But and it was so much sadness, really, that I'm Sister Marsha. Can you just explain to the children because I am so the whole thing they wouldn't be sad for long. What does that mean? Because I'm pretty sad now.
Well, one thing I think, Auntie Liz, is the importance of worship is that no matter what's going on around you, Jesus is your hope. Jesus is your salvation. And for instance, one of the scriptures in the Bible, Romans 8:28 reads, and we know that all things work together for good for those who love God and for those who are called according to his purpose. And that's actually what Jesus was doing. He's been called according to God's purpose for him. And so those who were worshiping him, I think what you're going to find in our next story is a surprise that won't keep you sad for long.
Oh, see, now I feel better. Okay, kids, let's just feel a little better until we see the next story. You know what I mean? So don't stay sad. I get it, Sister Marsha. Thank you so much. I think the kids probably are like, whoa, that was heavy. But if your next story is going to lighten them up a little bit, they're going to need it because that was really heavy. Really heavy, Sister Marsha.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I'm so glad you feel better. I'll see you next week.
Because after that kind of story, you're just like, well, what is happening here? But Sister Marsha, okay, you clear that up for us. We won't be sad for long. We have hope, kids. We have hope that this next story is going to brighten us up a little bit. All righty? So you guys give Sister Marsha a hand, but she's going to come back with another story. So cool. Sister Marsha. Just love
Thank you.
You're welcome.
See you next week.
Thank you for watching, and stay connected with us by visiting and subscribing to our YouTube channel and all of our social media platforms at Union Temple DC. For more information about ministries and services, visit uniontempledc.com.
This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Oh, this little light of mine, I'm gonna gonna let it shine. Oh, this little